hear me? For some reason that intro went on for ages, and I don't know why. Maybe I was sitting here awkwardly looking at the camera, and I had no idea. Sometimes StreamYard really likes to screw me over with my intros, and it did there. It did indeed. But anyway, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing good and enjoying what is being a week of reflection, a week of hopefully looking forward to a chance of redemption on Saturday. Fingers crossed, anyway, because we really need that win. We really, really, really do. And it's going to be a game that will probably define the last 8. It does kind of show you what's going to be feasible and possible this season. So nerves, excitement, anxiousness, all of the above are certainly applying as we hit 2 days before kickoff. I'm still so angry about this situation. I'm still really angry inside. And actually, I had a really good chat yesterday in Turkish about kind of the Arsenal situation. If you haven't checked it out already, please make sure you do. It wasn't negative. It was really quite constructive. It was actually it didn't actually go the way, I don't know what way I thought it was going to go. But it was a really good conversation, and we ended up agreeing on a lot of things. So check it out. It's a really good watch, really good listen, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section of the video if you do indeed enjoy it. Maybe it's changed your mind about a few things. Matt, good morning to you. Good morning to Paul, Sartvik. Good morning to Stevie, to Gunataj, Tony, Simon, Canoe, Paul. Good morning, guys. Simon, Jose, Mehdi, Jermaine, Tulip, Steve, Rahil. Good morning to all of you, to Rob and Marcus and Martin and Bismarck. Bismarck Ops in there as well. Black Shine, good morning. Harrison, good morning, guys, as always. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing good and enjoying your week so far. The weather in the UK, I've got to say, has been pretty darn good. Pretty good indeed. Managed to get the car polished. That's right, not clean, polished, because I'm in the process of I'm going to try and move it on because, I, as a 27-year-old, I can't really have a little Vauxhall Corsa anymore. I'm a bit old for a little boy racer. It's time to move on to an adult car. So new car at the end of the month is coming. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, 27-year-old driving around a little black Vauxhall Corsa Turbo is not, it's not the greatest of looks in the world. So that's going to be changing very, very soon. But enjoy the weather while it's out there and while you can, because you never know when it's going to disappear in the UK, that's for sure. Do make sure that you go and subscribe to the Arsenal Way, and you'll be able to check out a show of me and Bailey at 10 a.m. this morning, talking even more about Arsenal and plenty of reaction to that Granit Xhaka interview that we're going to touch upon in just a moment. Thank you to the really kind comments left on yesterday's show with me in Turkish. Thank you to the Modern Guna, to Rahan, to Michael, to Shiro, and to Dersh. Really appreciate your kind comments in the comment section. We try and highlight some positive thoughts every single day to focus on the good stuff that's still being said in the Arsenal fan base. Now, we kick off with some unfortunate bad news with Jordan Osei Tutu, who can't catch a break. Really, really, really upsetting story, this. Another injury for him. He scored, of course, the equaliser in the Papa John's Trophy final at Wembley, and eventually they won in extra time and penalties in the end. But it's a real shame, because this is a kid who had so much talent coming through the Arsenal academy. Went to Bochum in Germany and did really well. Went to Cardiff and it was expected he'd push on again, but got injured. Now he's at Rotherham and has got injured again. He can't catch a break right now, and it could end this season. It wouldn't be surprising if it did, but we will we'll have to let this run and see how it works. But we wish him the absolute best once again and hope that he can come back stronger than ever. Now, a really interesting bit of news is that Lino Souza has been training with the first team squads. He signed for Arsenal in January as a 17-year-old under 18/under 23s left back. You know the situation with Arsenal's left back right now, Nuno Tavares. It's not going well. 17 years of age still. He made his debut in the under-23s at age 16. He's a very, very interesting player that I want to learn more about, and I'm going to endeavour to try and learn more about, because he's a very, very intriguing talent. That is for sure. I look forward to seeing if this is something that gets him onto the bench. At the moment, Mazido Gungbo has been playing, or not playing, but sitting on the bench for Arsenal right now. But perhaps Lino Souza is catching the eye of Mikel Arteta and impressing to a level that he feels who knows? Maybe we've got another special talent at left back on our hands. We'll have to wait and see. But a very interesting one to see him training with the first team squad. Someone who wasn't training with the first team squad, though, was Alexandre Lacazette, supposedly not spotted in training yesterday. We need confirmation on this. Mikel Arteta's press conference is tomorrow morning. Whether or not Lacazette will be involved, we're going to have to wait and see. Not scored in 18 games from open play. All the way back in that game against Southampton was his open play last goal. And look, I don't want him out because, you know, he could still come off the bench and be an asset. I don't necessarily want him starting right now. I think he needs to be taken out the limelight. But, you know, an injury is still not going to be all that positive for Arsenal. So hopefully if there is an injury or an issue, it's not too serious. Now, this is a really good story. And I encourage you, if you haven't already, to go and watch the interview of Granit Xhaka on the Players' Tribune that came out yesterday. You should be able to find it. I mean, if you type in Granit Xhaka onto YouTube, it should come up. But it's on the Players' Tribune. He talks a lot about the abuse he suffered. He talks a lot about that day against Crystal Palace. There were some things during the interview that I found really hard-hitting, and other things that if I speak honestly, I found frustrating as well. And me and Turkish talked about this yesterday as well. I really thought the way in which he spoke about the incident at Palace was good, you know, talking and being very open and honest about the situation. I've always respected players when they kind of talk in a more grounded fashion. Now, we don't swear on the channel really. Well, Harry does. But not because I'm against it, but because, you know, if you listen to the show of your family, you know, you don't want swearing necessarily, but I certainly try not to. But that's not to say that I think swearing is a bad thing when talking just, you know, brashly about certain situations if it's not directed towards anyone else. And when you see like a footballer having a conversation where they're swearing or where they're talking brashly, you know, it comes across very honest to me, and very kind of, you know, down to my kind of level. And it was very, very great to see him speak again like that about the situation. Now, the frustration for me came towards the end of the video where he started talking about the cards that he receives and the way in which he plays and some of the mistakes. And I thought it was an opportunity to maybe take ownership, in a sense, of some of those errors. I know that's his game. I know that's the way he plays. But what you want to see is, you know, you want to see some accountability at times. You want to see someone turn around and be like, look, I hold my hands up. I've made mistakes. And for all the time I'm here, I'm going to play to my absolute utmost and try not to make those crucial errors. Because let's be real, pulling Bernardo Silva's shirt in the box against Man City to concede a penalty, despite whatever you think about whether it was enough to give away a penalty or not, you know, it's a risk. It's a mistake that's cost us in that game. It's things like that which, you know, I got frustrated that there was no accountability and it kind of was passing the blame for everything elsewhere and that this is just me, deal with it or move on. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I prefer reflection. I prefer someone taking ownership of their errors. That was the part that frustrated me. But the first section certainly was a powerful one, and I know I speak for everybody, or I hope at least I do, that I say that, you know, we're against this abuse. We're against him being called this and that and these horrible things being said to his family. It's abhorrent and it's wrong, and we all know that. But yeah, the last bit was a little bit of a frustrating one. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Xhaka between now and the end of his Arsenal career. He said he wants to stay until he achieves something special. I hope that's soon, not because it means he would leave, but because it means Arsenal would achieve something special. Whatever that might be, we'll wait and see. But, you know, I think that he's a misunderstood footballer, an underrated footballer, and, you know, still someone that needs to improve in plenty of areas and has been an asset to us this last couple of seasons. But if it is a situation where we can upgrade, I'm never going to be against the idea of upgrading on anyone because it means that we can improve the squad. Our next story is that Scamacca, Italian striker playing for Sassuolo, has signed a new contract. So anyone hoping to see Scamacca join Arsenal, unfortunately, it's unlikely this will take place now after he has now signed a new deal with the Italian club. Unsurprising, as we know, Italian players tend to stay in Italy, and Scamacca will certainly be doing that this summer. Now, this is an interesting player that I know genuinely nothing about. Akturkoglu, I think is the way you pronounce it. Akturkoglu. It's probably different. Please tell me in the chat box if you've got a phonetic spelling so I can try and give it my best shot of pronunciation. But is being linked, according to Turkish media, to Arsenal. He's so far got 8 goals and 6 assists in 31 games. 11 goals and 10 assists across all competitions. Typically plays on the left wing for Galatasaray, but can play across the front 3 positions. Can play right wing, can play as a second striker or as a centre forward if you need him to. Hasn't really played centrally all that much. In fact, only 2 games so far this season he's played in a central position. Mainly on the left, 36 games, 8 games on the right. Have not seen him play. 23 years of age. Contract runs out, just doing a quick check on Transfermarkt, in 2026. So he only signed a new deal last season. So he's going to cost, you think, an extended amount. He's worth 13.5 million according to Transfermarkt, although I imagine his genuine market value will be higher than that. We'll see with this one. I know nothing. But once again, Arsenal being linked to a wide player. It's not the first. It won't be the last. We've now had, Akturkoglu. We've got Cody Gakpo, Noah Lang. We've been linked to a number of wide players. And Asensio, of course, as well. It hints towards Arsenal pushing for a player in that role. I have nothing against this. I think it's a position that Arsenal would be good to kind of strengthen and add some versatility to. So we will wait and see what happens. Let's move on to our penultimate story of the day. And Lucas Paqueta, the PSG links with Paqueta are cooling, it's been said, according to French media. And Lee Ryder of The Chronicle yesterday, who is a Newcastle writer, wrote a story about how Arsenal and Newcastle again may compete for another Lyon midfielder. Of course, Newcastle signed Bruno Guimaraes, despite my anger about that deal, because it was certainly a player that would have improved Arsenal, in my view, to no end. Paqueta, very good friend of Bruno Guimaraes, compatriot in the Brazilian national side. Newcastle are also said to want him too. And Lee Ryder reported that it could be that Arsenal and Newcastle again go head-to-head. I don't know how strong Arsenal's interest in Paqueta is, but if it is significantly strong, they should push. And they should look to push to try and sign him to the club, because he is a really, really strong talent that would certainly add plenty of quality to the Arsenal attacking part of their midfield. And he's versatile enough to play as kind of that false 9 if you ever needed him to as well. Really versatile central player that can play in a really advanced position, can even play in central midfield. Lots of potential there, lots of quality too. And he'll be doing certainly something to try and knock West Ham out of the Europa League on Thursday. So I'll be watching that with plenty of interest. But Reece says he'd rather have Maxence Kakare, who only has a year left, I think, on his current deal with Lyon. So that'll be one to watch in the summer about where he could also move on. And our final story of the day, we return. I think this is a little bit unsuspecting, because the last time we talked about Patrick Schick, we were talking about the Bayer Leverkusen hierarchy, saying that he is not for sale. He will not be moving anywhere. Nowhere. He's going to stay in Germany with Bayer Leverkusen. However, according to Sport Builds, Bayer Leverkusen have raised their asking price for Schick, and he would now cost a total 70 million euros, about 58 million pounds. In my view, that is it's probably about what he's worth, to be honest. 58 million pounds, considering his goal-scoring record in the Bundesliga this season, and the age that he's at, the contract that he has, the development that he's gone under. 58 million pounds is a lot of money. It's about what Arsenal, I think, will have to pay for whoever they want as their main striker in the summer, around the 50 to 60 million pound mark. So it does fit in that bracket. I find it odd, though, that this report comes out just weeks after Bayer Leverkusen said that they would not be selling Patrick Schick in the summer. Who knows? Maybe that was a tactic to try and put off any kind of interest. With this new information coming out about the price that they would accept. So let's see of any changes that happens in the summer. Schick could yet move. Arsenal have been linked, but not anywhere near as strongly to some of the other targets that we've been linked with in the past. Anyway, that completes today's news stories, which means we're going to move on to your questions in the chat box. If you indeed do have any, please throw them in now. We'll go through as many as we can. Drop a like on the window. Don't do it on the window. Do it on the video. Window? Drop a like on the video, and it really does help out the channel, so I really would appreciate that. We will see you in just a second. Okay, then. Let's jump into the chat and see what you guys are asking. Jashar, and thank you, Jashar, for your kind donations yesterday in the show with Turkish. Very much enjoyed your questions that you put forward. Tom, it seems Arteta has accepted Xhaka's "it's me, deal with it" behaviour. But is that right for him to be afforded that privilege where others haven't been? I think I understand the question completely. I think there are differences, though. I think the difference between Xhaka's "it's me, deal with it" behaviour is on the pitch, and it's, you know, it's his hard tackling, it's his never say die attitude, it's his "you're not getting past me unless I'm bringing you down." I think that is different to Matteo Guendouzi's immaturity. It's different to Aubameyang's disciplinary breaches. It's different. I think they are separate things. And the fact that Granit Xhaka has maintained absolute full focus and intense training has enabled him to be, you know, respected by Mikel Arteta and appreciated by Mikel Arteta. So I think that difference is quite clear. I hope that made sense the way I explained it, but I think it's because there's a solid difference in those actions. In the behavioural differences between Xhaka and the others. Xhaka's issues are certainly on pitch. Off the pitch is where kind of they started to differ between him, Guendouzi and Aubameyang. Harry says, why have the David links cooled in my eyes? He would be the perfect Lacazette replacement and would even be attainable without getting into the Champions League. I think that we're going to see interest and stories in certain players cool and peak as we reach the summer transfer window, because with Arsenal, we don't know where we're going to finish. What I can tell you is that Arsenal certainly have an interest in David. We know that. We know that right now. We know that Arsenal have him on a list of players that they are monitoring and looking at and that would be interested in signing perhaps in the summer. So if he is the player that you want, don't be disconcerted that you're not seeing regular links with him, because he's not really being linked with a lot of teams right now. So we'll see. We'll wait, but I'm sure that something will crop up in the near future. Daz says, did you see the madness during the aftermatch between Man City and Atletico Madrid? What do you feel about that? I did. Look, I love drama. Everyone knows this. I love a little bit of dramas. Talked about this with Harry the other day. So, yeah, I enjoyed that little scrap at the end of the game. And, of course, the video that I watched in the tunnel this morning. I quite liked that City out-Atletico'd Atletico. Like, that's great. I mean, Simeone being given a bit of a taste of his own money was just gloriously satisfying. And I think it showed an edge to Manchester City that they've lacked. And I think if they go on to win the Premier League this season and they go on to win the Champions League this season, it will be because they've added that nastiness. They've added that little bit of edge. We saw that edge against us at the Emirates earlier this season when Rodrigo scored. We've seen it. And I think that that's been what's missing from a fairly sometimes lightweight. Sometimes they roll over as they did against Chelsea. And if at the highest level, if you want to win things, you know, you've got to have that edge and that brashness. And I think that that's what's been missing from this City team. And Pep maybe has finally got that into his side. Grealish is a character, certainly a character, proper wind-up merchant. And, you know, there's something enjoyable about it because it's not aimed at me as one fact. And you're seeing it happen with others, specifically Simeone's team. But yeah, it's... how do I feel about it? I feel fine about it. It's part of the game, I think. You know, it's part of what happens. And yeah, I hate when I can't remember. I can't give credit to the person who tweeted this, but someone tweeted saying, "I hate it when commentators say these are scenes that we don't like to see," because we love to see these kind of scenes, and you know that's what part of makes it so entertaining. So. Yeah, no, I was enjoying it very much so. Savik says, chances of an out of the blue signing? Oh, very high. Very, very high. I would be shocked if we don't sign someone that we're not talking about right now, or someone that we haven't talked about for a long time. It's just what happens. Sometimes things come out of the blue. Think about the Chambers deal. Think about the Matt Ryan deal. Things just happen sometimes very quickly and without much knowledge going on. You describe them as the perfect transfer when they're able to be done without anything being mentioned whatsoever. Olu says he is definitely overrated, not worth 56 million. This is Schick in a million years. Never scored more than 13 goals in a season before this year. Andrea says, is Man United still an attractive club, and will Arsenal be able to compete for the likes of Nunez without Champions League football? Scared about Ten Hag. Yeah, absolutely. Man United are still an attractive club. They're arguably, alongside Real Madrid, the most successful team, and Liverpool now, of course, too, the biggest clubs in the world. I think Liverpool will overtake them as one of the biggest clubs in the world. Real Madrid will remain outright, of course. But yeah, absolutely, Man United are still an attractive club for players to look to join, as are managers, clearly, with Ten Hag. Nunez and the chance to compete for him, I think, will depend on Champions League football. We'll wait and see. Matt G says, how many times was Nunez offside against Liverpool last night? Was it 17 or 74? I didn't actually watch the Liverpool game because I was watching the City game, so I haven't seen it. I suppose that's bad of me because I should have been watching Nunez, but it was so entertaining to watch the City game that I didn't. So if he was offside loads, it's an area of his game that he needs to. It's an area of his game he needs to improve on, it seems. Noel says, is it weird that I don't see us winning against Southampton, but we can't afford to lose? It's not weird. How can I blame anyone for not being confident about playing Southampton? We haven't looked like a team that can win a football match in the last two games, so I'm not surprised by that at all. Nat Nael says, Tom, do you think Patrick Schick is a better fit for us than Darwin Nunez? Because I do, and his experience is a plus. I do. Yeah, I think that Patrick Schick's experience, his age, would fit perfectly into what we want to achieve in the next few years, and then we'd go and sign another player to replace him in a few years' time. Nunez is still a bit raw, and maybe we do need a little bit of cutting edge and more refinedness, which you would find in Schick's game over Nunez. Adam says, Tom, don't you think that Xhaka doesn't understand that the initial booing versus Crystal Palace was because of him taking ages to walk off the pitch? Adam, as someone who was there, and with the people around me, what was being said around me was not savoury, even as he was taken off the pitch. And yes, he was walking during a moment where we were trying to get back into the game. It was still really uncomfortable and really not nice. In the piece I wrote about this yesterday, I still remain on the fence about the idea of booing and whether or not booing is an acceptable kind of thing. Because I don't know how else you show your displeasure as a fan in the stadium. And, you've paid your ticket, you've got your right to go. Is booing disrespectful? Is booing wrong? It's a really interesting debate because, in that moment, it would be very difficult to not see what happened as disrespectful, and the way and the level of booing and the level of and the energy of it as well, and what was accompanying it too, which from the people sitting around me wasn't nice at all. So in that moment, it makes you think that booing is wrong and, it should be discouraged. But at the same time, after that game against Brighton, how else are Arsenal fans meant to show their displeasure at that performance except to boo? Obviously, that's more of a collective. Focusing it on one specific player, maybe that's where the line is drawn. It's a really tricky discussion. But I understand where you're coming from about the walking off the pitch element. But, it got to a level that was unacceptable. And that's for sure. Simon says, TC, what's your opinion on the antics of the Atletico players last night's game? Look, City got out. City got exactly what I thought would happen if they were going to try and play that way. Look, City were at it as well. Foden rolling back onto the pitch, Simon. It's tactical. He knew what he was doing, without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, some of the behaviour of some of the players, in particular Stefan Savic, was disgusting. Headbutting Raheem Sterling, dragging Foden back off the pitch. All of these things, they're things that are against the sporting nature of the game. But still, it's drama, and you enjoy the theatrics sometimes, and I certainly enjoyed it at the end of the game. Daz says, is Arteta right in convincing a player that already decided to move on? I pity Xhaka, had to go through abuse, but why to convince someone as it contradicts what Arteta said he doesn't want to? I don't think it contradicts Daz at all, because I think that when Arteta's talking about, that element, he's talking about kind of the disciplinary breaches of players, as we've mentioned, like Guendouzi, like Aubameyang. The reason why Xhaka wanted to leave was for different reasons, very, very different reasons. I think it also showed, in a sense, with Arteta, his ability to convince players. We've already seen it with following Balogun as well, if you remember. We've already seen it with the contracts that we're seeing signed, Martinelli, Saka, Tierney, Smith Rowe. He's able to convince these players, Balogun, of course, as well, to sign these deals, to convince them that Arsenal is the right place for them to be. And that's a really good quality for a coach to have. Lots of things need to be improved about Arteta, that's without a shadow of a doubt. But there are certainly some huge benefits that we've had from his ability to convince players when he needs them to stay. Aubameyang was, of course, in that crowd as well. Neil says, Tom, does not on the pitch issues affect points and game? Off field doesn't. I understand it affects the dressing room. That is where the manager needs to manage. Absolutely, and that's why I said that I was frustrated that Xhaka didn't take responsibility at the end of that interview to some of the on-field mistakes that he has made. What I do think, though, is that the benefits of Granit Xhaka is always to an element balanced out at least those issues with the red cards and the penalties that were given away. People certainly underrate how good he is as a player and how hard he works and how much of a leader he is because of those mistakes. Because, there's a block, there's a refusal to look at the positives because we're so frustrated with the negatives. Again, if we got the chance to upgrade on him, I absolutely would do it because it would be silly not to. But he is a player that I still feel is not appreciated for a footballing level of what he provides to the team. And I think, across the last 2 seasons, you'd have to say that he's up. I mean, especially last season, he was our best central midfielder, even when Partey was here. This season, especially in 2022, Partey's overtaken him there. But last season, he was our best central midfielder. So, and he was an asset during a difficult season. So who knows? Axel says, what did you make of Nunez's game? I didn't watch it, so I can't tell you. I'm afraid I was watching the City Atletico game. The Harry Thomas says, morning, Tom. How much do you reckon this team improves with a striker? Do you see us near the top 4? It can't just be a striker. A striker improves us, sure, but we need depth. We need quality. We need a central midfielder. We need the two key positions of striker and central midfield. Getting 2 world-class players, I mean, certainly 2 world-class players and a top-class player in addition to another forward, in the forward line, and you're in a position of much healthier competition of where Arsenal need to be. But, we need to make sure that we've added those 2, and once we've done that, and added to the depth of the team, and seen this team develop more as well, with another year older with these players, there's real potential for the team to be a coiled spring about to unleash its energy. Amara says, we've said in the past that we don't know what kind of midfielder Xhaka is. Seeing how well he's been playing recently, is it fair to say Arteta has brought out the best in him in his Arsenal career? I think we've seen the best from Xhaka during his tenure with Mikel Arteta. Especially, I like him in this role. I don't think this role is tailor-made for him, but I think we're seeing the best parts of him when we're playing with everyone available. When Partey's available, those 2 together, when Xhaka plays that role, I think you see the best from him. I think you see what he's capable of. But I've always said that the biggest compliment Xhaka has is the difficulty it takes to replace him. The difficulty it takes to find a central midfielder who's genuinely better than him is not an easy task. Is it worth spending £50 million on a Ruben Neves to replace him? No, because the improvement it's not worth that you've invested. We're going to have to find a really, really good central midfielder to upgrade on him. And that's a testament to him. Let's scroll down the chat a little bit more. I feel like I'm missing loads of questions that are coming in at the same time. Andrea says, do you think Balogun is ready to become our backup striker? Not yet. I would put him as 3rd choice still. We need to sign 2 forwards in the summer. Chris says, we should buy a strong left back and Nuno play in a 3-5-2 formation, not a 4-4-2. Bismarck says, Tom, on what upset you in Xhaka's interview? Xhaka doesn't hide. This is not an excuse for him, but he doesn't hide during games like other weak mentality players. Myself, I am proud of Xhaka. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a quality that you have to appreciate. My issue was just the lack of accountability for some of the mistakes, and they are mistakes that have been made. Lynn says, I think booing is a form of abuse. There shouldn't be any reason for this, and the ref should deal with it. I don't know how you deal with it, to be honest. I don't think it's something you can police, to be fair, because if you've got thousands of people booing, it's not something you can easily police, to be honest. Axel says, I think sometimes a fan, we need to trust the people in charge. I'm not a fan of Xhaka and mean we can get better. But Wenger, Emery and Arteta all fancy Xhaka as a key player and person. And I mean, you look at the other managers that have wanted him. I mean, he'd been linked with Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid in the past. He's been linked with Jose Mourinho at Roma. He's a player that is appreciated by top coaches across Europe. And that's factual. That's just how it is. He is wanted. He is appreciated. So that is a big, big tell in the story of Granit Xhaka. Priyank says, Tom, what do you think of the new Champions League proposal? I'm really surprised our coefficient is 11. Liverpool is 15. If rule is applied, Arsenal will guarantee a place here. I don't like it. I want Arsenal to be in the Champions League, yes, but I want us to be there because we've earned it, not because we've been, not because we've just been shoehorned into it, because we have historical merit. We've never won the competition. How can there be a historical merit of Arsenal over the likes of Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa? They deserve to be in the Champions League more than Arsenal do. Easily. They've won the whole thing. We can't say we've done that. So I find it mad. I find it really strange, to be honest. That I find it odd that that anyone could sit there and be like, "Yeah, great. This is how the Champions League's going to be now." No, this is not what it is. This is a glorified Super League. This is everything that we fought to stop from happening. It's everything that UEFA found so despicable about the Super League. It's not. What they found despicable is that they thought that they were being, the big teams were going to break away, create their own league, UEFA stuck in the mud. Financially impacted by that Super League decision, when in fact, the whole time have been planning their own Super League. And that's the reality. UEFA are hypocritical. They're hypocritical beyond measure. Harvey says, do you think we will look outside of England mostly for cheaper options? I don't know, because the one thing about Mikel Arteta is that he's changed the way in which we've recruited to look inwards in England. Ramsdale, Ben White, we've looked more within England when we signed Willian. I know it's Willian, but he came from another Premier League team again. So you have to say that we are still looking inwards. Matt Ryan, of course, came in from Brighton. So we have been looking inwards more than we have done in the past to the Premier League, and specifically to English options too. So it's not to say that we will do that to look for cheaper options. I'm sure we will look abroad because we've had success with bringing in players from abroad. But at the same time, I think there is more scope for us to look also within the Premier League, because that's something that has changed under Mikel Arteta. Abbe says, Mikel Moreno for the left centre mid spot could be perfect. Already has Premier League experience. What are your thoughts? I have said a number of times that I like Mikel Moreno, and I think he'd be a very good option, and the leadership qualities as well that he would bring to the team would also be very strong. Paul says, Forest and Villa have never won the Champions League. Our continuous ECL qualification gives us crazy coefficient. They've won the European Cup, which is the same thing. It's what the Champions League was, Paul. It's the same thing. That's why when you talk about how many Champions Leagues Liverpool has won, you take into account the number of European Cups that have been won. It was a harder competition to win when they won it as well. You only had the winners. So they have won the Champions League. It is the same thing. It's the same competition. So they deserve to be in it more than us because they've won it. It's as simple as that. Jeremy says, have our fans always been this fickle and impatient? A couple of weeks ago, talking about Arteta's manager of the year, and now people are calling him a fraud and writing off our season with 8 games left. I haven't written off the season. I think it's going to be very, very difficult, but I haven't written it off. Are fans fickle? No. I think that you're seeing people that are writing off Arteta are the people that have always written off Arteta, to be honest. I'm not seeing anyone that's been majorly Arteta in, if you like, which is a ridiculous label anyway, suddenly changing their mind. I'm not seeing that at all. I'm not seeing people change their mind rapidly, to be fair. I think you're seeing people criticise, and that's fine. Criticism is fine. I think there's rightful criticism after that Brighton game and after the Crystal Palace game. Mistakes by Arteta have been made. You can't say that they haven't. He was directly responsible for that loss against Brighton because of the mistakes that he made with his team selection and tactics and in-game management. So I don't think it's about fickleness, I don't think that's the right word. I think that we're judging a fan base by looking at individuals as a reflection of a wider group of people, which isn't accurate. So if anything, I think the fan base, within it, there are always people that have felt that Arteta is not the right person and are enjoying us losing. And I think that there are people like myself that have certainly appreciated a lot of what's happened this season and a lot of the positives that we've seen that are now criticising, quite rightly, because mistakes have been made. And that's what we do. If bad things happen, we criticise. If good things happen, we praise. Because Arsenal comes before anyone else. So you criticise, you praise. It's part of what being a fan is. Amandeep says, is it arrogance, confidence, or naivety if Xhaka starts at left back? It's not arrogance. Again, we talked about this yesterday. Arrogance is a word that's thrown around far too freely to describe Mikel Arteta. Arteta's not an arrogant manager. Arteta is very often a naive manager. He has got a lot of inexperienced naivety about him. It's not arrogance. Stubbornness, sure, but stubbornness isn't arrogance. They're two very different things. Stubbornness might be in the way that he thinks he's got an idea of it working and he's going to stick with that to show that it works. That's stubbornness. Naivety is making some of those decisions, realizing that it's not going to benefit us. It's naivety. Arrogance is very, very different. So naivety, I would go for if he starts Xhaka at left back again. Sojo Go So Slow says, do you like anyone with the right qualities to replace Xhaka? Yeah, I mean, there's lots out there that are better. Frankie de Jong, I would absolutely take. But are you going to see him leave Barcelona for us? Probably not. It's very, very unlikely. Fabian Ruiz, I think, is a better version of Granit Xhaka as well. Mikel Moreno, who was talked about earlier, is another really good option for Arsenal as well. He won't be as appreciated, that's for sure. If you look further, Tielemans is a player that I think is having a poor season, but, you know, based on raw quality, could take that position to the next level for Arsenal in the way in which he plays very differently to Granit Xhaka. It's different qualities. It's not necessarily an upgrade in regards to what Xhaka does, but I think he would elevate that position because of the qualities that he flourishes in. So, yeah, there absolutely is. Paul says, sorry, Tom, the coefficient has only been in existence since the inception of the Champions League. We fought the Super League only for UEFA to bring it in by stealth. I know the coefficients have been, but the Champions League is still the European Cup, Paul. They are still the same thing. And I'm saying that them picking coefficients is wrong. I'm not saying that Aston Villa or Nottingham Forest should have a coefficient higher than Arsenal. The coefficient system is a load of BS. Like it just is. It's a load of rubbish. It should be done based upon merit. If you're going to do it that way, do it properly. Do it properly by giving teams that have won the competition the chance to go into the competition. I don't think that's the way it should be done, but if you are going to do it, you have to do it properly. Daz says, if you are in charge of Arsenal's summer signings with 150 million available, who do you bring in? I bring in Cody Gakpo. I bring in Jonathan David. I bring in... Oh, the midfield's so hard. The midfield's really difficult. I will lean towards Tielemans or a Fabian Ruiz. Either of those two I like a lot. I don't go with Ruben Neves. And I think that left back is an interesting discussion. Then there's an interesting discussion to be had. I would look at someone like Baum, who's at Hoffenheim. He's having a fantastic season. Would certainly add a lot for offensive qualities to the team. I might look at Grimaldo at Benfica. Who else might I look at? I might look at... I'm trying to think of Premier League options now that could be possibilities at a left-back role. But nothing's really coming to mind. Maybe people have got ideas. Castagna I like a lot, but I'm not sure he's the right player to come to Arsenal. Daniel says, will we need to identify a wide forward who we can convert to a centre forward? Yes. Yes. And his name is Cody Gakpo. I know you're bringing up Marcus Thuram. Cody Gakpo's the one for me. Axel says, I think the Southampton game is our last chance to enter the top four discussion. If we win this game and go into the Chelsea game with confidence, anything can happen. Tottenham will bottle some games. Let's wait and see. Liam, would I bring back Guendouzi? I can't. He's gone. He has been sold to Marseille. That deal is done, finished, over. He cannot be recalled. He cannot be brought back. He has gone. So I'm sorry. But and I wouldn't bring him back under Mikel Arteta because it's pointless. It's not going to work. If we had a different manager, yeah, I would have been up for bringing him back, but he's gone. It's done. It's over. Sorry, Liam. Anyway, we're going to wrap things up there. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are doing well. And drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel as well. I will see you tomorrow morning. And we'll also have our preview show for the Southampton game in the evening too. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, up the Arsenal.